Hello, everyone. This is your friendly neighborhood Matthew here from Code with Vincent. I made a poll and I lost, and now I have to make a amazing tutorial on this a terminal snake game. So you're gonna need one thing before we do this. It's GetKey. It's a really useful library for getting input. So down here to install it, you will use pip install get. You're gonna need to have get installed if you're on Windows or Linux. You'll type this in. I'll leave the GitHub in the description if you just want to copy it, but that's the link. It won't actually work on Replit, so I'm going to have to just do this instead. Clone, and this is going to clone the entire GetKey library in here. I'm going to actually, what do I want to do with this? I'm going to rename this so it doesn't interfere. This is something no one would probably think of. I'm going to drag it out, try to throw it in there. There we go. Okay. Once GetKey is out of there, close that. Grab where to go. Here it is. I'm really struggling to get this out, but it's whatever. Okay, now that it's out, that took way too long. Sorry about that. We now have GetKey with all of our libraries. You won't need to do this. It will be automatically installed if you use the pip install command. So we're going to need a couple libraries for this. We are going to obviously use GetKey from what we just imported. We're going to use from GetKey, import, GetKey, and keys. You don't need keys, but if you want to use arrow keys, highly recommend it. I'm going to be showing you how to do WASD and arrow keys, so you're going to have to bear with me. We're also going to need from time, import sleep, and then for apples, we're going to need from random, import randint, which will generate a random integer between two arguments. I'll explain more as we go later. So Python is object-oriented based programming, whatever it is. So we're going to be making this entire thing inside a class. I sometimes use camel case. I use a lot of different cases. So if I upset you, I'm sorry. Snippy, I really don't care what you think. What do you call this? Snake game. Come down here, we're going to initialize the class, make it self. And then down here, we're going to get our first two arguments. We're going to have self that, let's call it board, or I don't even know what to call this. I want to make it something that you guys will understand. Snakes are in fields. All right, maybe field or script. We're just doing this. Self that width equals. I'm going to do like something simple, like maybe like 26, and we're going to do self dot height equals 26 divided by 2. I'm pretty sure that's 13. Please do not check my math. I'm really bad at it. All right. So how this is going to work is, here, hang on. Let me bring up MS Paint, my favorite tool known to man. Basically, we're going to have a array. An array consists of basically a list, but this is a little different. Inside, we are going to have multiple different ones. So basically, inside, we'll have another list, blah, 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 blah. And then inside, we're going to have, okay, this is really bad, but you're going to have to bear with me. We're going to have tuples with an X and a Y. And they'll just go X, Y, X, Y. So we're going to have all that. Let me just get rid of that. Oh, God. Okay, whatever. Besides that, we have this. So what we're going to do is self dot, we'll call it self dot board equals, we're going to start our array by calling that. If you really want, you could probably do like list, but there's no point in that. Do that, and then we're going to do this. And do column and row. Not resource warning, we do not want that. Column and row. And then this is probably the hardest part. You will probably like not understand. Be for row in range. We'll do self dot height. And then for column in range, self.width. Basically what this is saying for every row inside, which is basically just another thing, or it's a column, I don't remember. I'm not really good. Basically what that will do is that will generate our args, and that will basically give us a board. And if we were to start a class, snake game, and then we'll do print game.board, and we'll run this. Inside our console, we should get a bunch of tuples, just like that. Besides that, I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're going to keep creating stuff because this is a lot, and I kind of function like this. We're going to start making our snake, so self.snake. We're going to make another array, and inside it, we're going to put tuples, because that's how everything works together, because, well, it just does. So we're going to do our x, so this will be the head of our snake, the very first argument, so we want it to be the farthest, and I'm going to make our snake start going by the right way, so it's going to go. So we're going to do 5, I guess, for this one. And then we're going to do self.height. And then floor division by 2. If you don't know what floor division is, it's okay. Basically, here, let me just bring up MS Paint again because it's just easier for me. Basically, if you have a weird number like 7, that's really thin. You have a number like 7, you use floor division, divide by 2. You'll get like, I don't know, like 3.5. What floor division does is it takes that number, and whatever it is, it will actually round. I actually don't remember. I'm pretty sure it would be like 4 or something, but it's whatever. That's what floor division does. It does division and then round. You won't really use it, but at least I don't, but we're just going to paste this over and over again, and then we're going to do 4 and 3. So our snake is now going to be 3 blocks long. You can make it 1, you can make it whatever you want. I don't care. I'm going to say for this, I would at least have maybe like 2 to start off with. Makes it a little nicer. I'd say 3, but you can always do 1 if you want. It's whatever you want. All right, so now we're going to make, you don't have to do this, but I would say you should if you don't want to struggle. We're going to do dirs, which is going to be direction. So make a little comment here. Dirs equals directions. This is basically going to hold it. Well, it's a dictionary, and inside that dictionary is going to be all the directions we can go. So we're going to open our dictionary, and then we're going to start with up, and we're going to make a tuple for coordinates. Remember, it is by x and y. So remember, first one is x, next one is y. So for this one, if we're going up, we're going to want to go 0, and then we're going to want to do -1 because we're moving up the list. If you put 1, you would go down. It's flip-flopped. We'll make another one. We're going to go down. We're going to do 0 and 1. And we're going to repeat this for left. And I'm going to quiz you guys what you think left will be. We're on x, so it's going to be our first argument. And we're going backwards. If you said -1, you are correct. I'm proud of you. If you didn't, nice try. And for right, it's just going to be flip-flopped. It's going to be 1 and 0. Now that we have our directions planted in here, we're going to do self.current direction equal, and then this is what that whole dictionary was for. Self.dirs, and I said I wanted it to start right, so right, and boom, that's done. This is going to tell us which way our snake will go. We will make a function inside the class later that will actually handle all that. But we're not really there yet. We're going to make a variable real quick for consuming apples. I really should be doing this as I go along, but I don't really care. What's that on? Line too long? Don't care. We're going to do self that are 8 after an amazing argument, and we're going to set it to false. We're going to do self.apples. We're going to make it a list. And you can make another argument here like amount of apples. And you can just do like however many apples. I want 1, but this is what you're going to do. I'm going to make this function next, so just like don't freak out. I'm going to do self dot, or what should be called? Summon apple. That sounds cool. I'm going to do summon apple or underscore in range self dot amount of apples. That's going to give us an error because we actually don't have that function yet. So we're just kind of going to have to wait. We're going to now start on that summon apple function. I'm going to do summon apple. Make sure you have a self argument. If I'm not doing a good job at explaining, I'm sorry. I told Vincent before this, I'm not really good at explaining this. So once you have that, we're going to actually work on it. So we're going to generate a random common row. So common row is going to equal rand int. In generate, we're going to have a and b. You can read that. Tells you what it does. A lot of people use this library, so hopefully you're familiar with it. So com is y, I believe, and row is x. I don't remember anymore. We're going to have 1 on x, and then we're going to do self.width. I really cannot type. 2, and then we're going to do it again. Rand int 1. Except this time it's going to be self.height -2. That's going to generate our random integers. And then we're going to have to make a quick check here. So, well, home and row dot snake. We are going to actually just re-roll it so you can copy and paste. And then you're going to drop right here, return com and row. That's the entire function done. I'm going to actually explain this a little more because I feel like I did a really crappy job. Basically, that is just calculating columns, which is basically the x, and then row, which is the y. You can see here self.width and height. It's just subtracting it by 2, so it doesn't get in the outlines. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. We're going to probably make this a lot better. I bet. Before we actually continue working on the apples, we are going to make a update, or just go make a snake function. I like snake. All right, this is going to be how exactly like this entire program works. This is how your snake's going to get that effect of being a snake. So up here, see, we have our x and our y. Right now it's just half of the field. That's what Floyd Division's for, so it's going to spawn at the x of 5, 4, and 3 in like the middle of the field. We actually need to calculate a new one for this. So we're going to make a variable called new part, and then we're going to do a lot. So self.snake, we're calling that. We're getting that array we made earlier. We're going to have the first element of the list, so it's going to be the head of it. Then we are actually going to, let me go back up here, make another bracket to get inside that element, and we're going to put 0 again. So we're getting the x position of the first element. So we're getting 5. And then we're adding it to self. Oh my god. Self. Oh my god, I really can't type. Good lord. Current direction 0. Man, I am actually really struggling. What is going on with me? So we're actually saying the current direction of x because it returns a tuple of x and y. So we're getting the x of it. So we're adding x to x, etc., etc. And we're going to make another one for the new part. This is just a tuple, so not really fancy, but it's whatever. We're going to do self.snake. We're going to do the first element that we're now going to go for the y. So we're getting the y of it, And we're going to add it to self dot direction 1. So we're adding it to the x and y of the current direction traveling. If you don't really understand it, you can join the Discord and ask me more. Why are you yelling at me? Okay, I see that. I just don't really care. And do I have to? Whatever. They can yell at me all at once. It's gonna work. Hopefully. Yeah, whatever. It's gonna work. I hope. Otherwise, this is gonna be really sad to fix. I might just change variable name, but it's whatever. It's fine for now. I won't fix it unless it throws an error at me. I'm not even looking at my old code to do this. I'm just kind of trying to remember it as I go. We're going to go to self.snake and insert. This is going to be the new part, so that's how we're going to move. And then we're going to insert it as 0. It takes the first argument. Here, let me see if it'll pop up. No, it doesn't. Why would it? So that's where you want the element to be located. I have it as 0 because we want it at the very top of the or array list, whatever you want to call it. And then after you do that, you're going to type in new part, because that's what we want to insert, the tuple we just made. Next, we're going to make a check statement. So if you don't remember that little apple 8, 8 apple. So we're going to say if not self dot 8 apple. We're going to do that. If you want it on one line, you can tab. Otherwise, you can just enter down and put it here. I'm just going to keep it on one line to keep this kind of compact, but you can do whatever you want. Don't really care. We're going to do self.snake, a dot pop, and you're going to open up, actually calling it, and -1. That's going to get the last element of the list. So for this, it will be this. So the x of 3 and then half. That's going to remove it, which will allow the snake to move. The reason I have it set to not is because if you eat something, we want it to expand. So if you ate it, we don't want to take away anything, so it can actually grow. And then, like I said, if you ate something, you want to do self.8apple equals false. Doing that. All right, let's try this out. Actually, we need to do one last function. Whoops. Go to def dot def dot display. We're gonna make it so. All right. So what this function is going to do is it's going to loop through every single element in the array, and we're going to print it depending on what it is, which will give everything textures and not just numbers like here. We want it to be an actual board. So first, to start off, we're going to do for element in self dot, what did I call it? I need to remember. Reset to mine. Mine's better. We're going to do in self dot board. That's what it's called. We're going to drop down in the while loop, and we're going to do basically, how do I explain this? I'm going to print. What this will do is here, hang on. Let me do game dot display. It will print actually everything in there. The reason I did it this way is no idea really. I just felt like it, but to fix it and actually make it all together, we're going to use the end and just do that so it doesn't actually do anything. So can run it again if it wants to run. Good. Basically our whole board's here. We just can't actually see it. So we are going to work on a outline for the board, as you should, because, well, why not? We're going to go if element, I can't spell, sorry. If element, let me remember, element y in x0 self dot with. My brain's starting to give up now. Self dot height. And then we're going to do or element 0. So x in so x0. So that with minus. The -1 is just making sure that it actually doesn't go out of the array. So this is actually going to be our whole border. To drop in here, we're going to print. You can make the wall whatever you want. I'm going to do a hashtag and then n equals boom, and then we're going to throw in else. And boom. I'm going to run that. And as you can see, it's not the best, but it works. It'll actually probably work a little better once I actually get everything else in there. And the also reason is I probably need to do. So it's going to make a new line. That's what I forgot to do. So if element, the x of the element is equal to the width of, we're going to call the field, I guess. And the last element, it will just, and that's actually going to give us our board now. Yep, look at that. We have a board. It's a miracle I got to this point so far. Actually, going to change this to elif because we're going to do some more stuff. Let's do if. We're going to actually start making all the fancy textures now. If element in self.snake, that's going to basically detect if it's the snake or not, your player. We're going to print, what do I want to be the snake? What's really dumb to be a snake that no one would pick as a S? That's perfect. Make sure you have end, or else it's going to look very goofy. We're going to do elif element, and we're going to do in self dot apples. So if you want to use multiple apples, this will work just fine. I'm going to print, and then I actually need an apple one. I have an add emoji. We'll actually put somewhat effort into it. And equals boom. And that should be our entire field. Let's just run and make sure that looks right. Everything looks right. Nothing broke. That's good. That means it works. What to do? We're going to actually work on the game's hardware. So we're going to def game self. And then in here, this is where the magic will hopefully happen. We're going to do while true. And then inside here, we're going to use Unicode. We're going to do print \003, and then we're going to do that, and then age. This will make it a lot smoother than just repeatedly clearing the terminal, which will cause lots of flashing and not very good. So we're going to use that. We're going to do game, or we're not outside, so we're going to do self dot display, which is what we just called that function, which will print the field, and we are going to print a score underneath. We're going to do score, and then in here we're going to do string len. Inside len, we're going to do self.string. What this is doing is this is actually converting this number. It's going to return into a string, so this doesn't throw any errors, so they can combine easy. And then len is getting the amount of objects inside the snake. So if we were to run it, my bad, I forgot about that. Game.game. We actually have score of 3. Let's stop that now. I forget Replit is so buggy with this. Leading on to the next part of this. We're going to sleep for about 1/3 of a second. So it won't do that if you're on Replit. I would not let it run for long. Next, we're actually going to do self.snake. This is going to update the snake, so move, etc., etc. So let's try it. Oh, well, that's not good. Self.snake. Is that not what I called it? Oh, well, dummy. Self And maybe I'm just branding out. Oh, I think I'm starting to see why this doesn't work. Okay, I might just be a little stupid for not realizing that. I do snake handler. Everyone makes mistakes, I guess. Crap, I called it current direction. Yep. Okay, there might have been more than one mistake, but it's whatever. It's now working. We have a snake that move. It is very laggy on Replit, which is why I don't really recommend it. And I would rather use actual hardware, but we'll get to that point later. You fix this. I'm just going to increase the time, and hopefully it doesn't like cost me all my brain cells. Look at that, it works. Your snake just moves incredibly slow. So we actually need to get a way to move, which is what get key is for. We're going to do key equals get key. We're going to do blocking equals false, so it doesn't pause our program. And then we're actually going to use something that was added into Python in 3.10, I think. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. But it's actually the match function, whatever it is, I don't even know. We're going to do match key, and then we're going to do case, and we're going to do W. We're going to do self dot current underscore direction equals self dot dir up. You can just repeat this for this one. Oh. Keys dot up. Look at that. We're just going to rinse and repeat. We have lost, and then we're just going to do our arrow keys. Wait, never mind. We already have them. Whoops, forgot. Do self dot left, I believe, and then we're going to do self dot down, and then self. And we're just going to coordinate them. Right, copy, do copy, paste, and we're going to do left, copy, paste. Done. Now our snake will hopefully be able to move around. So if we run the program, I hit the down arrow. Okay, let's forget the minor mistake of an S. I forgot I had that. This is why I question if I chose the right career, because I always forget what I call things. But it's whatever. Okay, now if I'm to press the up key, maybe, our snake will go up. I press the right arrow key, it will go right. Same with WASD, it will go down, it moves. I know, I might be a genius. But there is a problem. We don't have a way to actually get and eat the apples. And if you don't know, apples are kind of the only aspect to this game. As you can see, I run over the apple. Absolutely nothing happens. That's unacceptable. So we're going to call down here. We're going to do self dot detect collision. Going to make a res, so response equals, and this is like only, there's no way it will return some, but this is going to stop our program if we do die. So where do I want to put this? Right earlier, why not? What do I want to call this? Detect collision of arguments. Next, we're going to work on our favorite apple. So if self.snake, the first element of it, I'm struggling here, and then in self.apples, which is basically saying if our head touches any of them inside the apples list, we're going to do this. We're going to do, for one, self dot apples dot remove and self dot snake first element, which is just basically the coordinates of that apple. Just going to remove from there. And then we're going to make a new one. So self dot apples dot append, and then we're going to do self dot summon underscore and then call it. Next, we're going to want to do self dot 8 apple equals true. We can run this now and go down really quick. We get an extra snake. So our score increases and everything. One more problem. That we don't have a way to die. So we're going to pause our program. You're going to come back up to detect collision. This is where it's going to return something. So you guys are going to have to bear with this one now for real. I feel like I'm just sure, yeah, we're doing this. This is a separate thing, I think. So dot snake first element, so the head, the y of it in, and then it's just going to basically say if it's in this. So x of 0 and self dot I minus 1, basically saying if it hits the roof or blah 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 bottom whatever, you will just basically get eviscerated. Then I'm going to do backslash tab self dot snake first element x and then in again the basically exact same thing as before, except it's x of 0, and then you guessed it, self dot width, our favorite, minus 1 so we don't go out of range. We want to do or one more backslash and then tab again, self dot snake first element in self dot snake. Yep. And we're going to do return true, basically saying we are dead. And then if it does break, we are going to come down here. We're going to put input. So if you're on terminal, you don't do this again. I don't know why you would, but yep. And do input u guide. And then I don't really feel like running this through, but we're going to do it anyway. That's probably not good, but okay, it appears I made a mistake, but okay, let's double check this, blah, 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 blah. I was gonna thought I didn't need it, but maybe I'm calculating it wrong. Maybe. Probably not. If I broke the whole thing, I wouldn't be surprised. I need to help you guys fix this because that is right. Okay, I may or may not have forgot something. Boom. That is saying anything past the first element. Well, so it's basically saying if snake is in any other positions as like snake besides the head, you will die. So let's try this again. You move down, you go right. Oh, I recommend turning that sleep down if you're not on Replit, so you can actually do this. I've like pressed W like 8 years earlier. Okay, I think I got it now. Just boom, we got the apple. I actually can't bear this and I'm losing my mind, so I really need to turn that down. Replit can deal with it later because it's not really my problem, being honest. Okay, I think Replit's not going to last any longer past here, so I'm actually going to copy all this. I'm going to put it in this VS Code thing and to save it, and let me run it. Bring it over here. We can actually control the snake. As you can see, if I run into the wall, you die. One problem, like that, it crashes. So we're going to make a simple one more while loop. While it's going to ask if you want to play. This is basically just not starting the game until the player is ready. Just some nice courtesy. And then we're going to do actually, no, it's great. We're going to use get key again because that's kind of cooler. Just going to do get key, and then we're going to do if key equal y. Yes, we're just going to we're going to do n, and we're not even going to calculate the y because, well, who needs a y? And if then we're just breaking it again. So in short term, it worked. I'm actually going to move that so it's actually for all the game. All right, copy that over, put in our VSC terminal, and then we're going to find my file explorer wherever it is, and we're going to drag it over. We now have a press enter when ready to play. I'm ready to play. So, well, that probably wasn't good. Besides that, let's run it. Snake. Let me just open a command prompt because that's probably going to be easier than this. Sorry if any of you guys just flashed out. Let me just CD into my downloads real quick. Have Python make.py. Alright, whatever. We're just running one terminal again, and we're just gonna hope it doesn't crash. Maybe I just got unlucky. So we can now move our snake around, but I did say there would be color, so I had to do that, and it's crashing for no reason. So I'll figure that out later. I just really don't care right now. So to use color, we are. I think I'm starting to realize what the error was. Okay. It's right here. It's actually a very obvious mistake. So that's why our entire game's crashing, and something like that will actually happen to you in real life. But yeah. So there will be color. So we are going to use the Colorama library. I'm just gonna take this over in VSC because it's just easier for me. We're going to do from Colorama import for r4.reset. You don't need that. I just want to use it. And then go down here. We're going to do for green plus R. That's like color. plus R. And then if you want your walls to be colored, you can just do, as I said, 4 dot, and then it brings up all these colors for you to use. Make them like a light green, maybe. Perfect. We're gonna save that. I'm gonna copy all that over. Actually, I don't need to. Press enter when ready to play. Ready to play, and look at that color, and we can play our favorite snake game. If you want, we can also add some more stuff. Like, here, let's see what else we can do for your apples. If you want more, you gotta figure out where I put it. My bad. Amount of apples. Let's say I want 5. I'll save the program, and you'll run it again. Let me drag this over. You will now have multiple apples, and all of them work. If you have any questions about this, join the Discord. I might answer you. If I don't, that's just a skill issue. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm now going to be playing Snake for the rest of today because I have nothing better to do.